Jen. I lead gaming initiatives for our app advertising business, and I'll be joined later by Ed, who leads gaming initiatives for AdMob. We're excited to share with you how ads can help you accelerate your business growth. As a developer, you probably got into this business to make great games. But to stay in this business, you need to find ways to connect with new players and earn revenue from your game. Ads can help on both sides of your business. Using ads to acquire quality users can help you quickly grow your player base and reach the players who will be the most interested in your game. And to fund your marketing efforts, using AdMob to show ads lets you earn more while keeping it free to play. This can help maximize both your earnings and your reach to new potential players. Today, we'll go deeper on both of these ways that ads can help your game succeed. Let's start by taking a look at how Google Ads can help you get your game into the hands of more quality players. With app campaigns in Google Ads, you can define your goals and find high-value players across Search, YouTube, Play, Discover, and over 3 million sites and apps in our network. Google's machine learning does the hard work of finding players all around the world based on your growth goals, whether that's people likely to install your game or those likely to take an action after they install. Our partner, Droid Hang Games, wanted to launch and globally scale their Idle Heroes game beyond the Chinese market. Check out how they used app campaigns to do that.
第一次玩游戏大概是在9岁还是10岁的时候，当时觉得这个东西太神奇了，然后就是受了一些启发吧。然后在2010年，我们开始做安卓上的游戏的开发。公司刚成立的时候就只有5个人，我们就想开发一款玩起来比较轻松的一类游戏，所以就是开发了《杖之骑兵》。 它里面有一些蛮有意思的地方，比如说它就有很多个工会，这些工会就是由各个国家的玩家他自己创建的，然后每个工会也有互相的这种群雄割据，也有这种利益的纷争。成都有800家游戏公司，那么放眼全球的话，这种竞争就是会更加激烈。作为一个在成都这种内地的企业，我们怎么样去向一些大的游戏厂商看齐？怎么样去追赶他们？
如何在全球范围内 获取我们的一个目标用户是我们的一个很大的挑战。高质量用户主要是从留存和付费2个指标来考察。Google Ads 整合了谷歌的很多广告版位，包括 Search、AdMob、YouTube。我们只需要进行简单的一个广告设置，把素材上传上去，然后谷歌这边它就会利用机器学习一个系统的算法，帮我们快速准确的 获取到我们的一个目标用户。如果我们要找付费用户的话，我可能使用 In-store 加应用类事件配合一起来做。在我们使用了 Google Ads 以后，我们总的安装量提高了3倍，我们的留存表现提高了30%，我们总的付费用户数提高了10倍。
《杖之骑兵》现在在全球大概有2000到3000万的玩家。我记得有一次出差，然后看到一个老外他在玩我们那个游戏。 然后当时就看到他在玩，就感到非常的高兴。如果没有 Google Ads， 可能我们的这种战略会受到非常大的影响。现在公司是有120个人，憧憬的话，我希望它能做成一个老店吧。然后第二的话，希望成都卓行能一直这样快乐的去做游戏。
Idle Heroes used app campaigns to launch and scale a brand new title, but successful user acquisition isn't just relevant for new titles. Another one of our partners, Kabam, was able to breathe new life into one of their older titles by reaching more engaged players with app campaigns automation. Let's take a look.
Kabam is a world leader of massive multiplayer mobile games. Marvel Contest of Champions is an action fighting game that released in 2014, and users can play with anyone else in the world. Because Marvel is a very social game, it's important that we find players all over the globe. Our target audience are engaged daily active users, or what we like to call them our regulars. These regulars are hard to find because they're not bound by geography, gender, or age. We really didn't have the resources to process and analyze millions of data points to find our target gamer. From Hong Kong to Dallas, each player has their own unique gamer profile. At the end of the day, we just want to reach more people in the world who are going to become regulars. We worked with the Google account team to create a bid strategy that would find the regulars who would want to play Contest of Champions. Google's automation helped us find a huge untapped audience that we didn't know existed. Considering our game is 3 years old with a high user base, that really isn't an easy thing to do. We reached hundreds of thousands of new players. Year-over-year install volume increased by 2.5 times, with our target return on ad spend increasing by 70%. Now we've been able to focus on our overall growth strategy, rather than worrying about manually optimizing campaigns.
We just saw 2 great examples of game developers who found success using app campaigns to grow their business. But one question we hear a lot is, what exactly goes into app campaigns and how do I drive better performance? You can get the most from your app campaigns by providing diverse and high-quality creative assets so that Google's algorithms can go to work for you. App campaigns uses 4 types of creative assets to deliver engaging and relevant ads. These include text, image, video, and HTML5 playables. With automation, creative assets become the building blocks to construct the right ad in the right moment, showing the most engaging creative to each potential player. So make sure to provide all 4 of these different asset types to ensure that you're making the most out of every reach opportunity. For game developers, the first step to any great creative asset is to lean into what makes your game special to get potential players excited to start playing. Today, we'll dive deeper into one of my favorite asset types, videos. Videos are an important part of your app campaign strategy as they can be very effective at driving conversions. I'd love to share a few examples of videos from some of our customers that were particularly successful. First, let's take a look at games with easy-to-understand gameplay. Jam City was able to clearly showcase how easy their game, Cookie Jam, is to pick up, while still keeping it fun. Let's watch.
C'est bon?
Next, let's talk about games with strong IP. These games can really lean into the existing brand to get fans excited about playing. For example, for one of my favorite games, Harry Potter, A Hogwarts Mystery, Jam City used a strong call to action right away, inviting fans to jump into the world of wizards. You can see that this video focused on fan-favorite characters and cinematic scenes to really get gamers excited about new Harry Potter stories. Finally, for games that focus on building large collections, videos are a great way to dynamically show off just how many options players have to collect. For Marvel Contest of Champions, Kabam showed the numerous heroes you can collect to build your team in battle. Kabam showed off a seemingly endless library of characters while also highlighting their individual personalities and skills. And to get players even more excited, they also included testimonial praise from sources that people really trust. While there's no one-size-fits-all solution, these examples can give you inspiration to get started on creating engaging videos for your game. Great creative assets are your way to encourage gamers to install and start playing your unique game. We hope these tips help you take your acquisition strategies to the next level. And now I'll turn it over to Ed.
Thanks, Jen. As Jen mentioned earlier, my name is Ed, and I lead gaming initiatives for AdMob, our ads monetization platform. Once players install your app, ads can be a great way to earn revenue from people who can't or won't make in-app purchases. We've seen all types of game developers find success using ads as a key pillar in their monetization strategy. Voodoo is one of the top hyper-casual game developers with over 2 billion downloads globally, and without ads, their hyper-casual business model wouldn't be the same. Let's take a look at how AdMob's rewarded ads have helped them thrive.
People need to be entertained. People need games. I love gaming because I can reach millions of players all over the world. Voodoo was founded in 2013. Mobile gaming was starting off. People were making PC and console games and just kind of porting them on mobile. So the experience was a bit strange. What we wanted to do was make games that were perfectly tailored for the mobile user. We're always moving around, and that's why we focused on making hyper-casual games. Hyper-casual games are games that are extremely accessible, where you understand immediately all the rules, and it's just very natural for the player. They are likely to download it, not need a tutorial, and be retained in that game for a long time. We wanted extremely accessible, fun experience, and to monetize, the only way was to put ads in our games. Ads are an integral part of our business model. It's intrinsic to the game.
We want people to keep playing our games, and we feel very strongly that rewarded ads can do that.
That means that instead of paying, the user can get a bonus by just watching a 30-second video.
The experience is good for the user, for them to watch ads in exchange of free content. AdMob was one of the first networks with which we could grow. We really liked their ability to scale, their innovative approach. We also liked the partnership that we had. We use them for every game that we launch.
AdMob allows us to make awesome games because they make our business model possible, and that allows us to reach millions of players all around the world.
Ads monetization isn't just for the hyper-casual genre. We've seen more and more games with rich IP economies incorporating ads to bring value to both their players and their businesses. Happy, one of our developers in China, used AdMob to grow Archero into a top-grossing game worldwide. This was one of my favorite games of 2019, and I thought it would be cool to take a look at how they used ads to achieve this.
Happy 是一个面向全球的手机游戏发行公司和制作公司。游戏它不仅仅能给人带来快乐，就是它甚至于能够给你的生活带来意义，帮助人们建立兴趣。那么 Happy 加 Hobby 它组合起来就是 Happy 这个词。第一次我们看到 Archero 的 prototype 的时候，就眼前一亮，因为它的这个操控是非常简单，但实质上它的深度可以做得特别深。Archero 这款游戏在商业模式上重点是通过 IAP 来获得收入，可是付费率对于行业来说始终是个问题，依然有90%以上的用户无法享受到付费内容所带来的这个体验。
那这一部分用户，我们怎么才能够让他们在游戏里面体会得更深，玩得更深呢？我们发现 AdMob 能够提供非常完善的广告变现解决方案。我们游戏里面会提供一些固定的广告场景，用户通过观看激励视频这样的形式，获取到一些游戏内的奖励，体会到和付费玩家一样的游戏体验。玩家是否观看奖励视频，取决权完全在玩家自己，而并不是我们以打扰形式的状态弹出一个广告。内购和广告变现同时存在的商业模式是非常成功的。这款游戏上线 Google Play 之后，在80天之内获得了超过1000万的安装，并且在1个月之内 DAU 翻了10倍。这款游戏的人均价值比行业 benchmark 要高40%，并且实际结果比我们的预期收入高了20%。
这个效果是非常超出我们的预期的。那个用户可以通过看激励视频去获得更好的体验，那么我们的留存甚至于得到了提升。 我们希望与 Google 继续合作，把这种商业模式优化到最佳状态，为更多玩家带来很好的体验和快乐。
As you can see, ads can be a great way for any game to earn revenue from their players. But in order to really grow your game, you have to understand how to tie these earnings back to your user acquisition strategy. To do this, you'll want to understand how each player you acquire is contributing to your revenue. This is called user lifetime value, or user LTV. So what is user LTV? Well, a user LTV is the measure of how much a user will be worth over their full time span as a player in your game. It incorporates all of the revenue driven by your users across both ads and in-app purchases. Tying the LTV of your players back to the campaigns where you acquired them gives you a better sense on how to set bids and budgets. There are a few different ways to calculate user LTV, ranging from simple to complex. You can start off by estimating a high-level LTV based on an average revenue and average retentions in your app. Once you've mastered that, you can zoom in and do these calculations on a per-player basis. And finally, when you're ready to take it to the next level, you can build predictive models to help you look into the future. Let's quickly walk through how each of these different concepts might work in practice. The simplest way to calculate your LTV is by using your game's historical reporting data. If you're using Google Analytics for Firebase, you're already measuring everything you need to get started. LTV can be calculated by taking the average daily revenue per user, or ARPDAU for your app, and multiplying that by the average days a user plays your game. To find the ARPDAU for your app, add up the total revenue earned from both ads and in-app purchases in a 24-hour period, and divide that by the total number of active users you saw during that time. To give you an example, if yesterday you made $50 in ads revenue and $50 in purchases, and you also had 1,000 users playing your game, then your ARPDAU would be 10 cents. Next, you can estimate the number of days a user plays your game from your churn rates. If you assume constant churn, then the formula would be 1 divided by 1 minus day 1 retention. For example, if your day 1 retention is 80%, to calculate days played, plug this into the formula, and you'll find that the average user is expected to play for 5 days. Now, all you have to do is multiply these two numbers together to get an average LTV. 10 cents of revenue per user per day multiplied by 5 days means that your LTV is roughly 50 cents per user. While this method is a great way to quickly estimate your LTV, it might miss out on important differences between groups of users. For example, we know that not every player in your game will watch your rewarded ads. Some players may watch multiple ads a day, while others won't watch any. Using high-level averages might cover up some of these important differences. Many developers have tried to improve on the accuracy of their LTV measurement by looking at individual players. To do this, we can start off by estimating the value of an individual impression. All you have to do is divide your eCPM by 1,000. If your eCPM was $10, for instance, that means that an individual impression would be worth 1 cent. You can then track the number of impressions a player sees using an analytics tool like Google Analytics for Firebase. Multiply the number of impressions a user sees with your average impression value, and you'll get an idea for how much that player is worth. So if a user saw 10 impressions while playing your game, then their estimated LTV would be 10 impressions times 1 cent, or 10 cents. You can then take this a step further by using more granular segments of your revenue data. For instance, we know that eCPMs differ from country to country, ad network to ad network, and ad unit to ad unit. For example, you might see that your eCPM is $20 in the US, but only $10 in France. This would mean that on average, an impression in the US is worth twice as much as an impression in France. One issue with this method is that you have to wait for each player to fully mature before you can get a sense for what their LTV will look like. If your game has really high retention, you might end up waiting a really long time. To speed this process up, we can actually do something even better. By tracking historical data around existing players' LTVs, you can build a predictive model to estimate how LTV might grow as a new player progresses through your game. Here's an example LTV curve that shows what an average player's LTV might look like as they spend more time in your game. To build our prediction, we can compare LTV for day 3 versus LTV of day 60, for example, and use this to quickly estimate the full LTV of a user. Let's say that you find out that LTV at day 60 is 5 times that of LTV of day 3. If you know that a new user has an LTV of 10 cents at day 3, then you would multiply it by 5 to estimate a 60-day LTV, which would be 50 cents. This gives you a quick way to calculate player LTV without having to wait the full 60 days. So that's it. These methods will hopefully give you better insight into how much value you're earning from your users, allowing you to spend more on campaigns bringing in players with higher LTV and scale back on campaigns that aren't driving much value. This is what we call the virtuous cycle of advertising, and it's going to help you take your gaming business to the next level. We hope you enjoyed this breakout, and thank you so much for joining us.